Hello and welcome to Soul's Compass Healing. My name is Brianne Lazinski and I am very excited to discuss what is going on in the collective astrology at this time. Before I get into it, I would like to extend an invitation for you to visit my website. The link is in the description below. There you will find more information regarding my services that I have offered, including one-on-one support sessions where we look into the support that you need for your evolutionary journey at this time via your birth chart. So this is not one size fits all. This is uniquely tailored to you and where you are currently at. And so if you would like to hear more, learn more, visit my website. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, the link is in the description as well. And if you have not hit subscribe, please subscribe to this channel. Let's make it over 300 subscribers. It's got to happen soon. I would like to open up this video by speaking to the fact that Mars has just stationed direct in the sign of Cancer. Just, like 12 hours ago or something. So, interestingly, when I was speaking to what this Mars retrograde journey was about, like when we don't find safe spaces out there in the world, we gotta create safe space for ourselves. We gotta give ourselves that felt sense of safety and security, right? Because that is necessary for our evolutionary growth. If we go around in our life, and Mars is going around in our life, it is our trajectory, it is our desire nature, it is that which we are instinctively doing and taking action. If we go around with a baseline of insecurity in who we are, baseline of insecurity in our authenticity, that is going to have grave effects on our relationships, on our work, every aspect of our life. And so this Mars stationing direct is really speaking to the fact that we have learned that when we are going about in our lives, if we enter a relationship, if we enter a space where there is a decreased sense of safety, that is where we equivalently decrease our vulnerability. Where there is a felt sense of safety, that is where we can be vulnerable. And this is self-protection, my friends. This is maintaining authenticity. This is saying no to being the world's punching bag. Mars is all about boundaries. Many of us may have been resisting or rethinking changes in relationships where maybe boundaries need to be instilled in order for us to protect our inner children. And so now as this energy is very potent with this station direct, is our time to be consciously putting one foot in front of the other as Mars slowly begins to gain momentum again, and it won't be leaving the shadow of this retrograde period until May. Okay? And so we really have some time to integrate this, some more time to really feel into, okay, I'm going to switch between putting my fingers on my own pulse, right? Checking, okay, inwardly, how am I doing? What is my life force right now? What is my capacity right now? And rotating that between putting our fingers on the pulse of humanity, on the pulse of the world around us, what is going on around us, and we are constantly checking in with that back and forth feedback so that we can move forward in directions that are going to be giving us a true foundation of a felt sense of security in who we are. And that is a game changer. That changes so much. So I'm excited. It also opens the door for us to actually create safe spaces where we can heal and process our trauma. So Mars is square to Chiron, will be exactly square Chiron again on March 26th. So again, this is a long aspect that we are processing as a collective, is our woundedness to our inner children and our authenticity. And so when we can actually move forward and not only acknowledging the wound, but actually administering the medicine to that wound, wow, this is powerful stuff. And I'm really excited because this is a huge part of my calling in what I want and do embody and instill in my work, and will be taking on this to a more greater capacity in the future, this baseline safety, so that we can actually meet ourselves and have the processing, have the safe space for vulnerability, listen to each other's pain, actually be able to look at the reality of life and use that for our healing, for our evolution. So I also want to speak to the fact that we've got Neptune, the north node of the moon, which always represents the trajectory in which we are leaning into for our growth and for our evolution. And so with the north node of the moon conjunct Neptune, Saturn, and Mercury, all within the last 10 degrees of Pisces, I really, really, really want to address what that means, so that we are not getting swept away in this just being another typical Pisces season, which I don't think, like, if you have one eye open, you're not just falling into the delusion that this is just a season of love where we can hold hands and feel the oneness of love. Right? I mean, at this point in time, I think it's more than obvious the reality that is hitting the fan. So let me back it up by speaking to what those last 10 degrees, especially, of the zodiac is, of Pisces is. If we were to imagine a plant as a metaphor for the phases of the moon, I know I'm layering metaphors right now, but when that plant is a seed, it is on that point of the zodiac, which we call the ascendant, the angle of the ascendant, and that is that point between Aries and Pisces. And that plant grows up into a plant, blah, blah, blah. I won't go through all the stages, but when that plant reaches the last sliver of the zodiac, that is when the plant mutates to the point of no longer being recognizable. The plant is now compost. And it is not necessarily beautiful as it may have been when it was in full bloom. And so this speaks to the reality of the balsamic phase, is that everything that has been neglected from a psychological and embodied point of view, everything that we have neglected, dismissed, pushed away, dissociated from, minimized throughout that entire cycle, all of that stuff that was trying to be stuffed away is going to come to the surface. Why? Because the cycle is culminating, it is completing. And so if there are any loose ends, nature wants to tie them up, right? Nature wants to turn all of that into compost for what is going to come next, right? And so what we are seeing right now, especially with Saturn balsamic to Neptune, is this decimation of the structures in society as we have known it up until now. It is a mutation of the societal structures. They are changing, and it is in plain sight. The time that we had to minimize or dismiss the reality of this eventuating is over. So this speaks to another aspect, which is the bubbles bursting. Bubbles of reality that were actually delusional are bursting now. And it is going to be happening on a macro level for the collective. And so this is quite serious business. As you can tell, this isn't just your typical love and light Pisces, right? This is, okay, we need to check in with reality. What has been the reality of the past? Mercury, being the ruler of that south node in Virgo, is up there with the north node and all of this action that I'm speaking to. And we are being challenged to see reality for what it is, so that we actually can culminate and complete these patterns that have eventuated into the situation that we are currently in. And this is a bit of a crisis. This is a crisis. It's not even a bit of one. This is a crisis. This is a mental health crisis, and it is not an individual problem either. This is a crisis happening on the macro level for the collective because it is a symptom of collective oppression. And so this is not a time to be blaming ourselves. Why am I depressed? Why do I want to dissociate now more than ever? All of those feelings are normal for the situation that we're in, and it also simultaneously asks of us to step into reality, and not necessarily at the expense of our mental health. That is definitely something that each and every one of us needs to juggle in our own way, depending on our capacity at any given day. However, what I am saying is that the oppressive forces are in plain sight now. We can no longer play the game of denial, dismissal, minimization. Oh, I didn't think that that would ever happen. Well, it is. So here we are. It's time to build a new, it's time to start building new structures of support. It's time to start building new ways of supporting each other in the mental health crisis that we are in. That is a massive symptom of what is going on. And it is a time for us needing to be awake and aware and simultaneously in the unknown, right? Because that is what we can be feeling right now, which can lead to a feeling of a lack of creative flow, right? Where it's just like, well, I just simply don't know. I don't have it all figured out right now, and that makes sense, and that's okay. And that the reason for it is that we are culminating something big. So instead of putting the pressure on ourselves that we need to have it all figured out right now, I would suggest that it's more important to be paying attention to that which we have brushed under the rug before, bringing that up in order to be processed, in order to be completed, being honest with ourselves about that, and simultaneously opening the door to the unknown so that we can instinctually receive the seeds of what is next. So that point in the zodiac is when we let go and we culminate the old cycle, right? And also, it's where the new ideas or seeds come in. And this can be happening very sporadically. This can be happening in ways that we maybe have never sensed or felt before. This happens in a very instinctual, random way. And so this is something to be paying attention to, because those seeds that are coming in, those ideas that might flow through our consciousness from time to time, some of them are really worth catching right now, because each and every one of us has a role to play in the collective situation that we are in. And so if we are no longer denying reality and are showing up to do this, I think that we are setting ourselves up for a very powerful humanitarian comeback. And that just is exciting. And it's also something that each and every one of us has a role to play in, has a responsibility. And so I would like to also speak to why at this point in time, with Venus just with Mars just stationed direct in the sign of Cancer, we simultaneously have Venus at 10 degrees Aries. She's already stationed. She's going to turn retrograde on March 1st. If you're interested in a few more dates, she is going to be conjunct the Sun in her retrograde journey on March 22nd. She is going to enter Pisces on her retrograde journey on March 27th, conjunct Neptune. She is going to be completing her retrograde journey at 24 degrees Pisces on April 12th. And as I was preparing for this, I was really just like, why would she be doing this right now? And I really do think that when we zoom out, even just within the past year and a half, where Mars and Venus were the rulers of the lunar nodes, and therefore were the main roles or leaders in our evolutionary journey, now they're still taking up a lot of the spotlight. And I find that that's no coincidence at all. I think that the symbolism of Venus, who represents relationships with ourselves and others, now backing up, she's going to be on a retrograde journey, backing up into these final degrees of Pisces that I have been explaining what that energy is about, how it can be extremely frustrating as well, because all of a sudden all of these things that you thought were dealt with are coming up because, oh, actually that loose end wasn't quite tied up just right. Or, oh, actually we're going to have to relive or repeat this pattern right now so that you can actually really get it. So that this is, in reality, a completed lesson in your soul's journey. So it's not necessarily a fun ride. However, I think that that point between Aries and Pisces in the zodiac represents death and resurrection. So obviously I'm not painting a pretty picture here, right? Like last time I spoke to the scene of Jesus's crucifixion, and I asked, where would you be in that picture? Would you be siding with the executioner hurling insults at him, or would you be weeping at the fact that somebody who embodies truth, love, and compassion is being murdered? And so it's something that is very sort of in your face for me to get this point across, but I'm going to do it, is saying, okay, if we are at that scene right now, how would we as a collective, be addressing Jesus? For the most part, when I look around and I see how people treat each other, it would sound like this. Oh, you are just bringing down the vibe, like with all of your low vibe emotions. I just can't even stand to be around it. And it's just really like you're just being crucified. Like, it's all your fault anyways. So like, it's not a big deal. Why are you being such a drama queen? Like this doesn't have to be so hard, Like, I don't have time to sit here and watch this. I want to go, like, get my manicure and eat a cupcake. Like, that's not only the new age, but the majority of how we treat each other. There is this gaslighting going on. There is this victim blaming going on. There is this, I would just much rather be carried away into my fantasy land than actually dealing with somebody who's actually really going through something. And so, yeah. I'm so, if people are resourced enough to go out into the world and make money and profit off of lots of fucking bullshit, like manifestation techniques and basically profiting over people's pain, which I see all the time. If you watch the like advertisements for like everybody's a coach now or whatever, like I don't want to put it all under one umbrella labeled bad, but for the majority, what I often see is somebody being like, do you struggle with this? It's like the infomercials. It's like, do you struggle with this? Well, I can help because I have the magic bullet and all you need to do is pay me this money. And it's like Venus in her retrograde journey is like, I feel she's going to be addressing all of these themes. She is going to be saying, okay, this way of relating with one another where we all pretend like we're perfect and that we all have it figured out and that we all have the next magic bullet that we sell to each other without ever actually getting to the bottom line, without ever actually getting to true healing, without ever actually addressing the fact that there is death and resurrection as a natural part of life, a natural part of evolution. It is in the zodiac. The zodiac is nature. So, enough said about that. The moon, third quarter square Jupiter. This is pretty much the only thing that I'm going to be saying about this moon. New moon happening on February 27th in Pisces is going to be third quarter square Jupiter. And what I have to say about this is that what we may have believed to be true. So, for example, in terms of the collective, in terms of spirituality, philosophy, religion, our orientation to life, our overarching viewpoints of how we perceive life and reality, if that stuff is not grounded in who we are and where we are at right now, it is going to be causing us distress. If it is not grounded in reality, the desire to break away from that, which once seemed to be true, will increase to the point where things that we maybe thought were truths might actually now be false to us. And so what we need during this next month is the open mind to actually discern what is truth, what is false, and finding that line of reality, because it can change, because perception is everything. Perception is everything. So if we have been under delusions around these themes that I'm speaking to, we are going to feel the crisis in belief in order to change those delusions, to wake up from them. So, thank you so much for listening. That's all that I have to say on this new moon report. I sincerely hope that you are resting and continuing to take good care of yourself and your inner children. And I look forward to speaking with you for the next 2 videos. We will be covering the eclipse season. So yeah, it's just about to turn a new page and invite in some new some new overarching energies, which I am looking forward to. So thanks again, and take good care.